All right. Um, ooh, this stays here too. Cool. I will try my best to do a VOD review. Um, I watched all of them already, so I kind of have an idea of some problems that I saw. But other than that, it was
The
a good scrim. I'm gonna turn this down a little bit.
Alright guys, so we're gonna go Torb, Sam.
Da, da, da. Okay, so this is our comp. I also think that Truth runs Widow, and one thing that I really like, not like, but there's two characters when I'm Mercy that I'm absolutely terrified of, and that's Widow. That's Widow and Hanzo. So the reason why is because they have the ability to literally just insta kill you, like without any heads up at all. There's other characters that are really dangerous, yeah, like Tracer or Genji or, even Monkey or other people, but their kill time is a lot longer than instantaneous, right? So one thing, I mean, since we have a Widow, it'll also help the Widow is after the first 15 seconds of the game is when you can see the comp, our comp that we'll be running, is check to see if they have a Widow or a Hanzo, and if they do, where it, because I'm pretty sure Truth runs it, where the Widow or their Hanzo is, because that's really important. Because if you know, for example,
So
but she's got the mechanics.
exactly like my Winston.
Buttons were. Oof.
blah blah blah, and a pause, trying to make my point
Gonna get
here.
myself a sandwich.
If you know that they have a Widow, you can really you can avoid places easier, right? So you know where to position yourself, especially if they have, like, okay, for example, if you knew they had a Widow, and the Widow, granted, yeah, it's 18 seconds, so a tab would be good here, so you can call what the whole team has, what the whole enemy team has, and if the Widow is here, like, you two are really big targets for her and easy targets, especially that since you just GA'd. So um, I saw on this VOD that like the GA boost where you press space and you jump a little bit more, but no matter which way, if you GA straight up, you do like you go like you're on a path. So it's easy, really easy for Widow to hit headshots. You don't get picked. I know that Truth was struggling, but against a better Widow, against a higher ranked Widow, I think under certain circumstances, you definitely could be dead here. One of you two could be dead. Also, seeing that you see his HP, looking at him isn't absolutely necessary. What I like to do when there's Pharah is I use it as an opportunity to position myself in really crazy spots. Like, for example, I would probably move here to right, like on this corner for this house, and then look down. Well, that's a weird arrow. And look down, so you get an overhead view of the team. So from that position, you can see if there's anybody out of position on the enemy team, and like, okay, like you do here, kind of. So from this position, you can see, okay, you have your two tanks here. So let's say we push in, and they have like all their people here, and then you see like one dude here, like someone's way out of position. You can see that they might not because they're locked in this combat right here. Avian might not because he's locked here. Widow might not. But since you're here, you get an overhead view of positioning, so you can help your team position better. So if you know, like, oh hey, like you need to back up a little bit, or you're in a risky spot, you can call it. Or if you notice someone's on their own, or you can call a target here and say like, oh, whoever's right here, they're on their own, they're separated from their team. It could be an easy kill, right? So no, I'm not sure if the call for the Widow has come out, but regardless, this is a good spot. So your danger zone is here, right? Like your sight lines. So one of the things that I try to do this as Zen, not too well because I still get picked occasionally, and also as Mercy, is try to notice where your biggest threat angles are. So like here's a really big threat angle, and down here's one. This one isn't so much of a problem because if they run through that, your tanks will know. They'll rotate, and you'll be able to get be able to have the time to do it. And since you're in the air, this spot really isn't a threat. This is your main threat, and you're able to really deal with it because number one, if the Widow grapples, you'll see her, and you're at really close to an edge, so you'll be able to drop down, which is good. Also, if they come here, there'll be a split second where you can just drop. You can just drop down straight this way.
Yep, they are.
Called it!
Ooh, huge!
Yeah, so this, when I was watching earlier, I noticed this is kind of something that, since you're running Zen, and who's on Zen? Galaxy, and I know he's not very vocal, so that's an issue too. But since you're running Zen, and you don't have you don't have a healer that can kind of like do good maintenance healing on the tanks. Looking away for as long as you do here, like you officially remove yourself from the fight here by moving into this hallway. Who are you gonna Guardian Angel to? The Widow. So you go even further. So you'd put yourself in a really bad position. Seeing that the Widow's here, a better spot that you could still damage boost her and keep an eye on your team
Risty's weak.
is here. So like you could from this angle you can damage boost her, and then also by peeking around the corner, because Guardian Angel, not Guardian Angel, damage boost and her with staff, God, I can't speak, they're not line of sight, but if you maintain line of sight every, I think it's like 2 seconds or so, you keep it on. So from peeking here just back and forth, it's a little bit like, you know, jiggle peeking, and if your Widow and the callouts for Widow are good, from this spot the only place you need to worry about is theater. But since you're moving back, I guarantee you the Widow's already on their way this way. Oh yeah, and this right here from Vanguard to after you res would be a really good call for like, oh hey, she's there, so you would know. But had you had been positioned here rather than moving into this hallway, you would have seen that your tanks and your other 3 people were getting punished and they're getting hurt. So like I said, moving into that hallway, you position yourself out of the fight. I like to position myself as Mercy as a spot where I have an escape route. So from here, you have an escape route there. And even if they die, like let's say for whatever reason they're running dive on Kingsrow and they decide to dive you on the high ground, you also have this escape route. And then also if they have dive, you have that escape route. Okay, so you have 3 escape routes that you can go here. Because if you Guardian Angel boost, you can boost yourself into arches. Here, you could even fly here and land in this window, and still be able to maintain yourself maintain your team from a really good angle and really good spot. That's number 1, is always try to have an escape route or have a place where you can fall back to that you are pretty confident that they won't push you. Sometimes, you know, they'll push you anyways, but also another thing is that you can have line of sight and track your health and monitor your teammates and be able to respond to them getting critical or taking damage quickly. Like here, you know, I won't necessarily say that res was a bad res because you didn't have the information to know that they were low. But let's say like you knew they were low, that was a bad res because it increased your response time to help rank and to help everyone else by like 5 seconds. So try to keep in mind that you want an escape route and an escape route, and you should be able to maintain line of sight on your teammates, and also yeah, I'm gonna repeat myself again, sorry. Escape route, maintain line of sight so you can maintain healing on your teammates, and also a third one's just good positioning. But as any support, positioning is the highest priority, except if you're Brig, because you're really tanky and your positioning revolves around your tanks. But like from this position, this is also a good position. Like I'll sit here every once in a while, but usually as Mercy, I sit here near arches, just because literally gives me one thing to deal with. And if you sit at a certain spot, like close to this wall here, you can see through hotel, so you know if someone's coming through that door. So you can really manage your sight lines that you have to deal with easily. Also, if they do have a widow, you only have to worry about one thing, and that's the really far adjacent high ground. This is also a good spot as well.
Ryan's Discord, Ryan's Discord. Down.
So since you're here,
Wizard low, wizard low, wizard low.
yeah, since you were there, rank dive.
Wizard one. Briggs discorded, weak.
Coming up, coming up.
Ryan's Discord again in the back. Get the Ryan if you
I'm good testing. Preventing second point. Yo, Mercy's one in the front.
Coming up.
Forget
Yeah,
long.
so a better thing, because you stay in the fight for a really long time. So like you go here, and you get pressured. So you go back, and then you notice Zarya's low health, so you go back. And then, I'm not sure what, but you end up going this way. So, right now, your Widow's basically uncontested. She's in a really good spot, so unless she gets flanked here, or she takes some direct fire, Widow isn't your highest priority. Right now, you should be trying to either stall, or just get the fuck out. So, a better spot for you, because you won't be flying through the enemy team, because you'll take a lot of chip damage as that happens, would be to stay in these would be moving back through those arches. And also, once a team fight breaks out, or in part of your positioning, I'll rephrase this better. Part of your positioning, what you want to try to do is imagine that the team pushes into, like, okay, let's say, like, ignore all of them. They're here. This is the enemy team. You know, there's Rhine, there's Zarya, there's their 2 DPS, and their healers are back here, right? Bad arrow again. Okay. Now, here's your team. You have your Rhine, your Zarya, your Brig, your Widows up here, your Pharahs in the sky. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then you. So if you're in this position, here would be a good spot to position yourself. So Mercy, but a bad spot would be here, for example, or even here. So unless your team rotates to protect you, if pink team here pushes straight in, by being in either this spot or this spot, it can be really bad for you. So let's say they push in and blue team decides to rotate off the point and you're positioned here. That means you have to fly through the enemy, and that's really bad. So you always want to be in a position where you don't have to fly through the enemy team. And also another thing that kind of sucks when you're playing Mercy is recognize who your highest value targets on your team. Now, I'm not saying that tanks are always the highest value targets, but usually they're most important. Let's say you have a DPS carry that's just really popping off. They become a higher priority. So kind of keep a like a list or like a mental thing in your head that you're thinking about or that you notice throughout the game. Who are your highest priority? Who gets the most value out of you investing resources in them, and respond to that accordingly. So for example, in this same situation, and you're choosing to either pocket the Widow or the Zarya, your Zarya, because she has devastating team wipe potential, and I'm pretty sure it's Wizard. Wizard's very good at charging his grabs, so pocketing him here would be really beneficial for next fight. So I would say go ahead and accept the fact that you might let Widow die to preserve your Zarya. To make sure that your Zarya gets as much value as possible out of staying in the fight, if that's what they want to do. Since you're trying to stay in the fight and you're trying to retake, invest resources in the people that are absolutely necessary for the retake. So if your Widow dies, that's Yeah, like feels bad, man. But in the end, you're not gonna make the push if one of your tanks dies. You can make the push if one of your DPS dies. You're running Zen, so you technically have 3 DPS right here. So just kind of think through your head as a fight's happening. If you have multiple targets that you could be responding to, is look and see A, who is in the most danger, or B, who provides the most value. So like if you have Rhine, Zarya, and a DPS and they're all low, healing the Rhine, if he's getting pressured, let's say he's in a Rhine duel with the other Rhine and the Rhine's just swinging through him, healing the Rhine is more beneficial than healing your DPS and your Zarya first. Because if your Rhine dies, so do you 3. Also, at the same time, like, there's also another circumstance where, you know, let's say your Rhine's out of the fight and he's here and he's half HP, and you have like your McCree over here and he's at half HP also, which is 100, and this is what, like 300 or 250, I'm not sure for Rhine. So the McCree's in the highest danger, so you could heal him. But let's say McCree's already going back this way and he's at the corner going this way. He's no longer a priority. Like, he's out of the fight. He's in a safer spot, so prioritizing the Rhine. So, and just recognize if you are having to choose between 2 people and you know someone will die and you don't have Valk up, don't Valk when they're crit, because the Valk won't help them in the team fight. Let's say like you're trying to hang on to a team fight and they're all really low. Valking can be a waste because it won't necessarily sustain them. I try to, like, you can preemptively Valk, but if you're having to choose between 2 targets, like this case, pick the one that's the most important, that provides the most value to your team at the time. You know?
Nice. Got it, we got it.
Where's Ryan? Ryan ahead. Oh, I thought Ryan was going.
Yeah, so like in this circumstance where you were pocketing the Zarya and you're in the arc, no one's pressuring the Widow. You're fine. You're still alive, and you have your main healer still ready to push in with this fight. And the reason why you lose the fight,
I didn't
mean,
have
granted,
bubble
you
for
get
you.
shattered.
You wait a little bit.
But so if you all got shattered, you would have lost anyways. But the reason why you lost the fight is because you didn't have the ability to sustain on there, and you're taking lots of damage.
If that charge didn't hit you, we could have won that, because that was both good grabs.
Yeah, I tried to counter charge. Register.
We still need
I know. Alright, hold this corner with me. Never mind, we can push out just a little bit.
Having a Widow, this is a dangerous hallway to be in. Good, like you're keeping your sight lines, which is really good, but this is a dangerous hallway to be in. Like, you have no choice, but knowing where the Widow is really beneficial, because here she sees this whole hallway except like this sidewalk. So the Widow's sight lines are basically like this. So if she overextends, yeah, and then also you have up here, so that extends through here. So this is a really good spot. Also, depending on where your team wants to hold and where the enemy team is, this spot doesn't hurt, as well as, let's see if you look. There, as well as here is really good. Because it gives you a mini, that's right here. And if your team starts to push back, you can GA. You can just GA boost out and be in a safe line of spot, safe area as well. Especially with the Rhine, because the Rhine, depending on if there is a Widow here, if the Rhine's here, he'll protect you for the most part. So if there was a Widow and the Widow was here, this would be really bad positioning. But I'm pretty sure the Widow is either low ground there or up there, so this isn't bad.
I'm gonna grab. She's gonna grab here, I think.
I can combo.
I got
can
chance,
combo.
I got chance. She has it.
Ready for combo whenever you want. I'm getting kind of low though.
I know, I can't. There's no. They're not gripping up.
Mercy's down.
I got Brigitte.
Oh, got me.
Leaves one, or half.
Let's get you
I have
back
shatter.
up there.
Push up the card.
Nice res.
Good, nice res.
Thank you.
Fresh.
Zarya. Oh, damn. We don't want high ground.
What? That didn't give me charge.
Back up, whole corner.
Ryan's Discord.
Yeah, once you Guardian Angel, you no longer have to look at them.
They're supposed to
Use
double
the
fog
flight
between
time as an opportunity
Mercy's one
to either
right there.
so when you Guardian Angel to somebody, after you press shift and you're flying to the air to them, use the opportunity between your destination and your start point to do one of two things. Assess your team, like, you know, what's their HP at, who needs some assistance, and also look for your next Guardian Angel target. So they do have sights, so you know that you're one of the most high value targets, and they know where you are now. So knowing your next Guardian Angel target is really important. Also, yeah, just maximize the downtime, I think, because like from here, you keep looking at your target. Like you're gonna arrive at your target no matter what, or where your target was. So let's say you Valk here, which would be a very bad idea at this point because they have sights and they're in this hallway. But let's say you do. As you go by, you can flick onto Rhine. You can flick onto Ruby with your heal beam, or even Avian, and use the time between now and your arrival to heal or to find your next target to keep moving. Because if you look at Vanguard the whole time until you get there and then you turn around, that's just it's a big waste of time.
Get Zarya.
I also want to know what your
Wait, did Carney get anybody off
Yeah, we gotta grab
your
some.
beam sensitivity is.
Dude, sorry, is low in the back.
Because I don't know if
Good
it's.
shot.
I can't tell, but it is either. It might be 100%, and I might just be dumb, and
I
you.
know, but we're not. They're not
but-
creeping up to actually.
I might just be dumb, but it looks like sometimes like you're missing targets.
Huge! Whole team.
Nice!
Which
dude,
is
Took you
is
long
unfortunate.
enough.
Like you don't
Hey, I'm
want
sorry. That was 6 people, bro.
you don't want to miss your targets.
Alright,
So if your sensitivity
Whole bookstore corner.
is under like 60, I would
for the
recommend
flank.
They
heightening
stumble
it.
Widow Avian, so.
If it's 100, I would recommend lowering it by like 10 to be honest. Because
Damage
if
increased.
let's say you have like multiple targets,
Push up a little bit.
seeing that heal hitboxes are bigger than normal hitboxes. So let's say you have like your Rhine's here. I'll make them bigger. And you have your Zarya, and you have like your Brig, and then you have like, I don't know, like a DPS, like Tracer or whatever. Their heal hitboxes, I'm gonna use yellow, are actually like this. Like they're all like, their hitbox is weird. So you go having a really high sense on heal, like on the beam sensitivity, is a bad thing. Because let's say you want to heal like the Rhine, you now have to contest with 3 other boxes. So lowering it a little bit, like I wouldn't recommend a lot. Oh, what's this do? Lowering it, oh yeah, that's cool. Lowering it to like, you know, by like 10% actually helps a ton when you think about it, because it reduces overlap when your team's really, when your team's really stacked. And then, oh, I just removed everything. Can I undo? Yeah. So, and then also having it really small so it's the hitbox. No. Having it really small so it's also just the hitbox. Like, you can make the heal hitbox the same size as their damage hitbox. That's also kind of bad because it relies on more aim, and it doesn't allow for you to be accurate and you can't really flick onto targets as you go. So that's something that you can finick with, and try to mess with and see if you want it lower or higher, depending on what your preference is. Like for me, for example, I played for a while because I wanted to see like if it was doable. I played on like 35 beam sensitivity because I was like, you know what I'll do is I'll put the sensitivity really low, so it's basically their hitbox, so I can passively train my aim while I'm playing Mercy, which not a bad idea, but I was missing beam targets like mad for like games and games, so I switched it back to like 85, I think is what I'm on now or something. So too low and you limit your effectiveness, and
What
too
else on,
high
high ground?
you limit your effectiveness because you can kind of heal the wrong target.
Follow back. Arnie's half.
Oh, here's another. This is kind of what I was saying. Is we don't push in, but had you not counter engaged and that team and the other team pushed in through here? Oh, there's more colors. Shit, I'm finding all kinds of stuff. And they push through here, you're cut off, and you have to fly through the enemy team to get to reinforcements. So you were in a position here a little bit ago to go this way.
Arnie's half.
To go
Where's weak?
that way towards Galaxy. Like right before you counter engaged, and that would have been a better position than where you are now. Since you guys did counter engage, it's not that big of an issue, but just keep in mind that you don't want to force yourself into a bad position.
Nice, Vanguard. I'm pushing up. Yo, we can fight this. Yep, Zarya.
I'm literally max
Good
charge.
run.
Rank, be up here and swing, up here and swing.
Okay.
Oh, if you said something, could have saved you.
Sorry, my bad.
Did we just use trance?
Alright, Wizard's super out of position. Punish him.
There's Zarya on the left. On the right, on the right.
Literally just went over the Savian.
Nice, good job, Galaxy.
Wait, sorry, what was that?
We don't have.
Trance
It's
counter.
the fire barrage that we talked about, like.
Nice, you're using the wall. Okay, good.
Oh, they have Demon now instead of Zarya.
Use Rev.
They're still up, Zarya.
Back up.
Heroes never die.
They went triple tank.
Notifying your team when you Valk or when you're thinking about Valking is also really good too, because since Valk is not 20 seconds anymore, letting them know that they have 15 seconds of whole team healing is really nice. And also, I don't know, does our team talk about? No, other team is not under Valk, so that gives you, that gives you a really big advantage in this fight. So push your advantage. And communicating that with your team, like, you guys are under Valk, you guys can be a little more aggro. You know, giving positional information, like, oh yeah, push up, I have you guys.
Oh wait, no, they still have Zarya. Never mind.
They didn't get red.
Ryan's discorded.
Come on, Ryan. Come on, Ryan.
I shattered, I got
Diva Discord.
Do the next. Oh, there's some free mercy. Nice.
Let's get you back out there.
I almost got trans again.
Yeah, they swapped out Brick for Diva.
No, they just
Yeah,
used
I'm combo ready.
They have fights until
They have sides, they're using the sides.
overtime.
You should be at peak performance.
Ready, Avian? You ready?
Yeah. Ah!
Four.
Yeah, so once you saw Bubble, you could have just damage boost.
Good! Nice!
Go!
Here for
Blah, blah, blah. Good hold, by the way. I was a little upset.
Top 5. I mean, one trick.
I'm a
Hopefully we
faggot.
get a good
I mean,
Single word.
view. Let's go back 5 seconds. So this spot is really risky. Understand you're pocketing, and Avian did get the pick on the Widow, so you're good. But Kingsrow attack and defense is like one of the scariest spots for Widows in my opinion, because if the Widow is not dead, there's so many spots. Like I've seen Widows here, they don't do it very much though. I've seen Widows here, I've seen Widows here, here, even on the guy's head, even here. Like there's I think there was a VOD review that Pyro did for the DPS, or somebody did for the DPS, where they showcase all the points where a Widow can be on point 1 Kingsrow, and there's like 15. So that's something you keep in mind. So if the Widow was alive, coming out of here is really like eh. And also, one thing that I do is I do this exact same thing that you did here sometimes.
I'm a tank and DPS.
In the beginning.
If you just go...
And this is another thing that I was talking about earlier, is recognize the value that you're providing for the team. Damage boosting Vanguard is providing absolutely nothing for this 10 seconds that you do it.
I mean,
Notice how Pyro doesn't deny a single word of that?
Technically, I'm a tank and DPS main if you just go by the top 5.
Yeah, so for 10 seconds, you provided absolutely no value to your team. The other 4 members of your team are pushing into the choke without their main healer.
oh!
So when I do this, I do one of two things. I either, if there isn't a Widow, and there's the call that there is no Widow, I'll jump out this way. Or if there is, I'll just go down and then Valk in to my team. But when I do this, you keep an eye on the clock, is I'll count to maybe 5. And if I don't see a hit marker or a call that someone's one shot, in that time I leave. Because you don't want to provide no value to your team. And at this point, the other team now knows that you're running Widow Hanzo, so a better team or any team at all should not be giving them sightlines, especially now, because we know that one's here, and I don't know, Hanzo's on the bus maybe, so they're not going to peek that sightline. By being here and coming out this window, it's also a really risky area too. Your damage boost is one of the most powerful abilities in the game, and if you're giving it to somebody and you're not getting value off of it, and you are neglecting healing somebody else to give the damage boost, or you're neglecting damage boosting a better target, you're providing no value. So in this circumstance, I would have left a couple seconds sooner, because you see here, Ruby goes down. So that forces you to use your res, which means any death here is now permanent.
Okay.
We have avian on the Hanzo!
I don't know if you're visible, but moving here, like you can Valk boost, like the Valk jump, or what, I don't even know what it's called, but you know what I mean, where you press spacebar to get further distance. You can do that like right as you res. So like you could like boost into this corner and res. You're absolutely safe, no chance of dying.
He just pulled.
Yeah, so you take damage, so you're visible. So luckily, either myself, because I'm not sure if I picked on it, I might have moved around the building, myself, or somebody else didn't take the chance, because that would have been an easy kill, and you guys would have lost the fight. And like, critically, other than the res, for the first 20 seconds of the game, you've provided no value, and I guarantee you are behind the other Mercy in ult charge. And that's, you want to try to either be at the same point or ahead of the other Mercy, because that means you're getting more Valks, and the more Valks you have and the more Valks you're able to use the game, statistically means that you'll probably do better and win it.
Off just like that.
So here's another thing, right? So one of the jobs of Mercy, in my opinion, is positional assistance. So here, you're going in for the res. You're going, hey, I'm rezzing. You have no heals. And then also when you see this right now, he's not I think orange. He's not yellow, so he's less than 50. He's less than like 35% here. The darker this color gets, the lower health they are. You should let them know to back up, to get the fuck out. Like, hey, I'm rezzing, you don't have any heals, or even, you know, like right now, I'd be saying run, back up, because you don't have a res for him. And if he dies there, it's unresable. You know, if he dies here where Zen is, or he dies here, or anywhere else other than where he is, like this bad, no res, and you hadn't had to res Ruby, this is a good spot to die. This is a better spot to die. So, you know, give positional help to your teammates to know, since you're in the back line, you see everything. So if you know someone's out of position, or you recognize that someone's getting wrecked and you can't do anything to do it, you tell them to get back. I think he dies here.
Only one.
Run Discord, run Discord.
Wait,
He does.
Break that shield. Break that shield. Yo, we can kill
Right
him
shield
now.
down, right shield down, right shield down.
Watch the foil. Watch the foil.
Push him.
Stabbing.
What happened here? I want to rewatch this.
Fight low.
Because it looks like right
have an avian on the
now
He just pops off just like that.
you get behind, which is also really unfortunate because that means you're already behind on healing in the first 20 seconds. So not only was there no value in the beginning with the damage boost, you're already behind on healing, behind on ult charge, and I think your core, your two tanks and your main DPS is going to be crit. It's going to put you in a really bad position. Not like positional wise, but like a very bad like spot to be in as healing. Another thing would be like, hey guys, you're all crit. Be careful. Play a little more passive for a second. I'm behind on healing. Like if you're Moira, you're like, yo, I'm low on resources. When you get low on healing, just let them know that they can't. Just like sit there and like, okay, I'm getting healed. I don't know who it was, but I think Jane said something where he's like, healing is like heroin. If you take heroin, the next time you take it, you take more, and then you take more, and you take more, and you take more, and you take more. So letting your team know and giving them like an idea that there isn't going to be more healing is good. Is like they won't constantly like suck for healing, because especially like if you just pocket somebody, you'll notice their positioning will start to be really bad because like, I'm not getting punished because like I am at full HP, but they don't know that you're literally just hard pocketing them. So letting them know like, hey, like, yo, I need to heal some other people. You need to stop taking damage. You need to back up. Is a really good call.
Only one.
Run Discord, run Discord.
Fight low.
Break that shield. Break that shield. Yo, we can.
So here you put yourself in a really weird position. There is no reason to. I understand Avian's low. You have Galaxy over there, which can help him pop him back up. But you can also heal Avian, I'm pretty sure, from the building behind you.
Right shield down, right shield down, right shield down.
Which you do.
Push him.
You become focused on Avian. Avian's not your key target. You're not going to win the point because of him. You're going to win the point because your tanks stay alive. And I don't know what Ruby's cooldowns are, but if she's below half health, she probably already used one of them. And if he's below half health, she probably has no bubbles. His shield might be broken. So your highest priority are your tanks. So forget about the Hanzo. You also have Zen, which is better for this kind of thing. Also, in my opinion, I think Zen's orb in the beginning of the fight was on the wrong person. I always start orb. Whoops. I always start orb on wow, I can't draw because I'm stupid. Start orb on Ryan. If there's a Ryan v Ryan, or kind of regardless, orb on your main tank, because your main tank's going to take most of the damage, and that's just going to feed you ult charge as Zen. Also letting like Ruby know that she's crit means that she would have been like, okay, like I'm low. I'm not sure if she's paying attention to her health. She's going to move back here. So she would have been safe. She wouldn't have taken any damage. So you'd have been able to focus the Ryan. And also telling Ryan that he's low, that he needs to back out would also have been help too. Because I feel like this fight was winnable.
Stabbing.
Because you got behind on heals.
Both tanks are down.
Unlucky pin.
And now Deli is. Full reset.
Rick, you still gotta use your shield.
And another thing, like I said earlier, is know your players. and you'll get this the more you play with us, so I understand that you don't, is understand like who needs what. Like when I play on Rank's team, he needs to be pocketed more than Carney does, because his shield usage and his positioning isn't as strong, so he takes more damage. For example, Avian is a really good damage boost target. I would say Avian over the other over Vanguard and Pheasant, depending on the situation. Off tank. Wizard charges his grab really quick, so any damage boost that you can fit in and squeeze in on him is really helpful. He's good with bubble usage, but he sometimes gets super low, so keep an eye out for that, because there's sometimes where he gets really aggro, so be prepared just to flick the healing for him. Whoops.
Shield until it's broken, because there's Zarya and you're discorded, and there's Zarya's next
Chasing me this far!
They're fair straight up, fair straight up.
Where do you think you're going, Truth?
Yeah, so this is a really dangerous spot. Alright. So, go back. This spot is 1,000 times better than where you're at, because they have a Widow here, which... I'm going to do this in red or pink. They have an enemy Widow here, which can see through this. So they can't see you. They see all of this area here. And there's me. So I see through this area. Ryan can fire strike through this area. Everyone can fire strike through this area. So by moving this way is a bad choice, because it also puts you in the Widow sightline. It also puts you in the sightline of the all enemy team, and really susceptible to just random damage. So a good spot it would even be to go this way and just jiggle on the thing to keep your beam active until they decide. Or even, this is also a good spot too, is here behind statue. So these two spots are good. Since the shield's up, you will be able to get there. Yeah, see? Like, had that Widow had not been focused on Avian, you could be dead here. And you still could be dead like this whole time.
Truth?
Yeah, like she decides to shoot Vanguard over you.
Alright, the Widow's in the back.
And I don't know if she saw you, so, I mean, maybe I'm wrong, but the opportunity for her to kill you was there. I don't know if she took it. She might not have seen it.
Fair stop right.
I'll push up.
So like here, let's see, go back. You have people that are yellow. I understand you're helping with the Widow do, and I'm pretty sure he wins it. But
Alright, the Widow's in.
Where do you think you're going, Truth?
you switch to Vanguard to heal him up.
Alright, the Widow's in the back.
Fair stop right.
I'll push up.
Half.
Truth is down.
10 seconds. Almost 10 seconds that you spent damage boosting when there were no hit markers. So recognize, like, if you're damage boosting someone and you hear no hit markers, just forget about them. Like, if she's like, you feel the hit markers, it's because it'll pop up here. You'll get it. He got low. I don't know where your Zarya is. I think your Zarya is
Nice.
here. Yeah, so the time spent wasted, you got behind on healing again. So you lost the fight again because your tanks were too low and they couldn't respond to the damage that was given to them. They couldn't tank it. Which forces out trans to keep them up, and you lose the next fight because of grab. They don't use it this fight.
Rank push ahead, rank push ahead. You gotta take the grab.
Give advantage.
Is that the window?
Aura above, behind. This is a good spot if the Widow is not in that
no
window.
Bubbles at all. No bubbles at all.
Nice.
Never try to Valk if someone's in the grav, because chances are 9 times out of 10, if they have any combo with it whatsoever, they're gonna die. This is also a very ballsy res. I think, do you get it off?
Oh, the combo's ended.
Huge res.
Oh, Zarya.
You get it off, but you trade because the Widow moved here. So, like I said, the position that you're in was really bad if the Widow was there, and she did end up going there. This spot is a really strong Widow spot because it lets her see literally, like, everything here. And you died with Valk at full, so that's a lot of other value that you could have been providing to the team that you weren't. So rather than rezzing there, what you could have done is, because I think Ryan dies during that, doesn't he? During the res.
Alright, Zarya has no bubbles at all. No bubbles at all.
So you pop it. Ryan's low health, a half health with Orb. The combined healing could have kept him up against the Rhine.
Nice.
Oh, the combo's ended.
He shatters. I remember, I think he shattered our entire team. But because he got low enough, I was able to finish him as I was falling. Like my last ball hit him in the head or something. So he could have done.
Oh,
Pocketed the Rhine so that he would have healed up. He would have been able to sustain and shatter. Then as the shatter happened, either continue to pocket him and damage boost him through it, or decide to make the res. But since Widow is here, I think resing would have been a bad choice. Also, calling where the Widow is. That. Do you guys have a Pharaoh? See, you have two snipers is also really helpful. I think you have two snipers at this point. Calling where the Widow is would have been really beneficial to them because they could have taken her out.
Oh my god. Ryan shattered.
There's nobody else here.
Truth is popping off. Okay.
Yeah, someone's fine like Abe and you're low, try to get out if you can. Get out or die.
Good as new.
That's what I like to say a lot, get out or die.
Shit, I'm dead now. Fuck.
Alright, watch
So
out.
if you know, for example, a certain character isn't providing value, you can suggest that they switch to. And like Vanguard was struggling here in the beginning against both the Widow and the Pharah. So suggesting a switch to be for more helpful, like suggesting a switch that they could be more helpful here to your team with utility would be a good option here too. You don't have to be like, you suck, like switch. But like, hey, you know, like, hey, is it possible that you switch to blah blah blah, or like, you know, switch to a McCree, switch to a soldier to deal with the Pharah and like focus the Pharah down, or you know, switch to whatever role, or what, you know, like, can you switch DPS? And then, you know, they'll pick whatever next they're comfortable on.
You got a little bit less aggressive.
Risky, but that was just a good shot.
Alright.
Oh, I didn't know she was there. Shoot. Yeah, so that's another unfortunate thing about not having communication about the Widow, and it's something that I literally, if the Widow's, where's the Widow? Where's the Widow? Where's the Widow? Until I get the answer. Because you don't know, and you die because of it. So had you had known, and the team would have communicated, oh, you know, I think the Widow's here, your positioning would have been here. Your positioning could have been here. You could have been really ballsy and gone for positioning here, but you would have been safe because the Widow sees this. Well, not excluding that, but you know what I mean.
Oh, you got a little bit less aggressive.
Alright.
And also in that circumstance, you get shot and you elect to go through open ground
Oh, you got
when you're here. Like your first shot, like if you know, like, I'm not sure that I would have seen the Widow, to be honest, but I would have taken that damage, I would have gone this way. In my opinion. Who knows? I probably would have gotten picked, to be honest. But no, you have your cover. Sit your cover, you know, say, hey, there's a Widow high ground, I can't come out, so be careful. And then wait until you hear a different Widow shot. Like you hear it shoot again. So you can fly out. You can fly to just GA to her and step behind the pillar.
a little bit less aggressive.
Alright.
Truth.
What
Like I
was
said,
that?
if you keep me alive, I'm literally max charge.
I'm coming.
Risky,
You gotta be less aggressive here. There's already melts you when you're discorded. Like half a second.
Bad spot again. Good shot by Vanguard, so you're safe to be a little more aggro. Unfortunately, unluckers, you get shattered here.
Oh, they're far out behind.
Very low. Damn.
Healing stream engaged.
It's Ruby.
Even do you have dragons yet?
I'll get it soon.
Damage increase.
Let me know the millisecond you have it.
Alright, my shield's on.
Oh, I don't have it. Fuck, we'll have it next fight.
Just die. Just die. Just die.
Mercy ulted.
Oh, man.
We should win next fight.
Alright, yo, they have Zen Trance, though.
I also think that if you maximized your downtime and you were in, you were selecting the targets that you could, like, more important targets for healing, you would have Valk. You'd have Valk more often.
We gotta pop it somehow.
A clean bill of health.
Not sure how. Oh, Widow's one.
Just gotta go for it.
So I want to kind of interested to see what settings you play on my good spot here. Be careful though.
I have it. Oh, I'm dead.
Oh my god, Ryan Shield blocked it! And you died.
Yeah, like there you can be like, oh yeah,
Down point.
Hanzo down,
Widow's
don't use
down.
grav, something like that.
Alright, my shield's gone.
Get Zarya first.
I'm on Carney 1.
When you spend a lot of time looking around. Like luckily they don't capitalize on it, but
Push up.
keep in mind they have a Widow. One of the Widow's favorite spots is that pub.
She's in the roof. Watch out, Farah. Don't put the Widow's up here too.
It's a good spot. GA, don't walk across. Be
Widow
careful.
down.
Nice.
I have Dragon.
Zarya's are at 100 HP.
Probably have grab now.
Get Run.
There's no point to damage boost Hanzo anymore. They removed
I'm
that.
melting Zarya, I'm melting Zarya.
Help me.
Come on, Zarya. She's weak.
Fire's on.
Zarya, I'm melting Zarya.
Yeah, so Farah starts shooting
Zarya's are at
you.
100 HP.
Probably have grab now.
Get Run.
I'm trying.
I'm melting Zarya, I'm melting Zarya.
Here.
Help me.
Farah straight up above payload. You know that these two are critical. So, yeah, it's kind of predictable, but you would have to do it. Is you either GA here and then GA in, or you just straight walk. Like, this is a bad situation because you have, like, the Farah will kill you regardless, I'm pretty sure. But just because they're out of position, you could also tell them, like, guys, I can't heal you, you're out of position, come back. And whatever fight they're in, they can just leave. More important to be alive than to, trade.
Come on, Zarya. She's weak.
Fire's on.
Yeah, like, I know you're going for the Mega, but
Zarya's in, Cyrus. Nice.
Oh, that didn't actually get the mercy! It's okay, we win anyway.
I must go where I'm
Last person able to contest.
Oh,
Nice. Stay on. Push. Nice!
Because of the grab.
No, the whole point of
I think the
us
chance
backing
would
up-
have worn off, honestly. Might not have been. enough
No,
time.
if we
does this
pushed
go
it, would have
long
waited it.
enough? You press select. No, I don't want this.
I don't actually.
I want to see your healing.
By the way,
Oh.
If you look.
The whole
If you look.
that would have been massive.
Also, you don't press tab. Oh, there you go.
Push. Nice!
Tab. 9K?
Push. Nice!
Ah, it's so quick.
Nice!
Nice. I'm gonna get it. I want to see. 9.6 in 12.5 minutes is really low. Like, you don't have gold healing. I understand you have Zen, but at 12.5. 770 healing is Mercy. Divided per minute by 60. You're doing 12.8 healing per second. That game. Right? I think, let me do the math again. So 965 divided by 12.5 minutes. Gets you to 770 per minute. Yeah. Divided by 60. That's just, I don't want to say not good, it's just inefficient. You do 50 HP per second, but overall throughout the entire game, you did 12.8. So I think the biggest things to work on, I'll post more. I'll do the rest of your VODs too. Would be to work on the target that is most important to your team at the moment. Who's the most important to your team? Who's going to help you win? You don't have, like, you can carry as a support by making your team, focus on making your team not lose. Don't try to get the win. Don't try to go nuts and, pull out your pistol and get a 3K. And don't try to win the game. Just try to make them not lose. So you recognize, okay, what makes me lose this team fight? My tank dying. My main tank, shield tank dying. Pocket him. Make sure he stays up. You can win team fights without DPS. Like, it'll be a rough team fight. And you still might lose without the DPS. But just keep in mind that without your tank, your main tank, especially on Kingsrow, Rhine, you guys are toast. Unless you trade Rhines, you lose the team fight. Or like your Zarya grabs and saves you. So like, let's say in the situation where there's no ults on the field, like no ults are going to be used, losing your Rhine is a lost team fight. Losing your main tank first is a lost team fight most times. Yeah, I think the deaths that you had would be fixed by a little bit better positioning. So kind of keep in mind where your threats are. Like where your biggest threats will be. Position yourself accordingly. Yeah. Focus on the people who are most important to your team at the time. Or either people who are most in danger or the people who are most important to make yourself not lose. I think you damage boosted a ton. Holy cow. Oh wait, because you're on Pharah. That's probably skewed a little bit. I don't know. I feel like there were definitely moments during the game where you were damage boosting where you could have been healing your team. And if you had, I don't know, like a Moira or a Lucio or an Ana with you, that would not be an issue. But since you are basically solo healing, because Zen's very low healing, except when he uses trans, sometimes you need to prioritize. Yeah, see, like, Zen out heals you even without trans. Like, he barely does less healing than you without trans, and Zen does. La 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 la. Orb of Harmony does 30 health per second. So Zen gets more healing value than you did with almost half of your healing per second. Just keep that in mind. I'll post the other ones over the next couple days, and I'll DM you the rest as I make them. Let me know if there's anything you want me to exclusively look for, or if you want me to change kind of like what I'm looking at, or any feedback that you have. Cool.